Welcome to Mark's celebration of the journey. I can't tell you how much we appreciate all of you being here. And I think that I'm one of many of you who Mark's life touched. And so you all being here is really meaningful. So thank you.
Yeah, Mark, way to go, baby!
So you may have known Mark as Tahoe Man. Or Tortuga. Or the Paradigm Studios creator. Or the man behind Koh Phangan Man. And so I'm Jill Stolmeyer. I'm of the Phinney clan. And I am his baby cousin. And so I'm going to ask a few questions of the room. I just want to gauge who's here so that everybody gets a sense. So, how many of you knew Mark in college?
Yeah.
Nice. And how many of you met Mark or knew Mark when he was doing Paradigm Studios?
Oh, yeah.
How many of you have been to Paradigm Studios? How many of you knew Mark in grade school? Okay, how many of you knew Mark in Maui? And visited? Woohoo! How many of you spent time with Mark in Thailand? How many of you have spent a holiday with Mark? How many of you have gone on vacation with Mark?
Vacation.
That's right. So I want to bring in a few things, and one thing Hunter S. Thompson said, and Mark was a fan of him, is he said, buy the ticket, take the ride. And I think Mark did that well. He was a lover of nature, art, music, books, philosophy, dance, and expanding his mind. He and I had several talks about the doors of perception, Aldous Huxley, and I think that's one of the books that kind of got him into exploring that more, and many of you explored that with him, I'm sure. Sick guys, right? I really think my cousin embodied that lifestyle of learning more about himself, learning more about the people that he cared about. And all of you are those people. So thank you for being here. For us, I'm one of the baby cousins. So in our family, he put together our cousin trips. So every year we would have a cousin trip. And we would go somewhere incredible. And Mark would not ask for anything other than for us to come and enjoy it. And it was pretty incredible. And I know many of you took trips with him and spent time with him like that. And some of you are our blessed adopted cousins. We just had some great times together with him. Maui, Tahoe, Montana, Utah, and so many other places. And I just love how he never let his physical challenges, when he had gone into the hospital and had some physical challenges, he never let that slow him down. He didn't let anything excuse him from exploring. So he got that electric bike, his beloved electric bike, and just kept on going. And you would see him with his van and his guitar and his amps and his speakers. And Greg, usually his favorite Sherpa. And they just cruise down and wherever they could set up and play. Set up and play. Jam camp anytime, anywhere. Dance party, cousins dance party, friends dance party, anywhere, anytime. And that was Mark. And we were so blessed to have him for so long. He taught us a lot. And Kate Evans and Dave Ryan, who aren't here today, but send their wishes, said it really wonderfully. Kate's a writer, and they went to Koh Phangan together the first time. So that's how Mark found the place, is through Kate, because she was in this writer's group. She said Mark lived more in the last 10 years than most do their whole lives, and I think that's so true. And then Dave Ryan said, Mark gave a lot of love to a lot of people in a lot of ways, and I think we're all blessed with that, for sure. We recently went up to Big Sur. That's the last holiday we spent with Mark, and it was really special. And he was reading The Oranges of Hieronymus Bosch by Henry Miller, famed of that area. And Henry Miller said, every moment is a golden one for him who has the vision to recognize it as such. And I think Mark realized it. He knew the end was close. And so he kept all of us close. And we're so grateful. Mark recognized that and lived exactly as he wanted to. He was a dreamer, and he put himself into worthwhile endeavors, experiences with the people he loved. He was a force of nature when he was impassioned and sometimes manic. He was a producer, director, arranger, orchestrator, DJ, lead guitarist, drummer, super fan, bass player, dancer, hype man, and writer. He was certainly living out his dreams and
He was
encouraged
smart
us.
as fuck. He was smarter than most of the idiots we knew.
That's for sure. I have one more quote that I wanted to read, only because I saw it this morning, and it was the perfect quote that I saw, that my husband saw this morning, and it just embodies Mark. It was in Jack London Square, and Jack London wrote this: I would rather be ashes than dust. I would rather that my spark should burn out in a brilliant blaze than it should be stifled by dry rot. I would rather be a superb meteor, every atom of me in magnificent glow, than a sleepy and permanent planet.
Yeah.
We have some wonderful people that are going to be coming up here to talk and share their stories about Mark. But I also wanted to let you know, we do have a slideshow room we're dedicating as a space for you to share more stories. Please continue to share those stories throughout the day. We also have, I don't know if everybody got one of these, but if you want to know what's happening here today, it's a good thing to get it at the table out front over here. We've got food and drinks. We have jam camp.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for setting all of that up. We also are going to have some DJ sets today, so please be ready to dance and grab one of these. You're definitely going to want to have a little bit of neon while you're dancing. We have a dancing bears pit if you want to roll in the bears. If you roll in the bears over there, then you get to take one home with you. We have a candy station because Mark loved his sweets, so we had to have his candy here. We've got a room in the back that's notes to Mark, and you can write a little note, and we're going to burn them in effigy later. And we've got a painting party that's happening over here. So we've got a lot of things, fun things planned. We encourage you to participate in everything. Do everything you can today.
Yeah.
You only have today.
What about pictures with Panda?
Oh, and then there's the panda bear head. You gotta get that on and get a picture with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over now to the Thomas brothers to come up and say some words. So the Thomas brothers.
So, know Mark pretty much all my life. We've been pretty much like brothers. Our whole family, everything. So when Mark was a little kid, when we first came to our house when he was 7 years old, and the first thing he's going to do, he's going to test the authority of my mom. So him and my other little brother, they were spitting on each other. And my mom's like, no more spitting in this house, I'm gonna wash your mouth out with soap. And Mark's like, oh, that was all it took. Mark found out really quick what a bar of ivory soap tastes like. It wasn't only him, it was Elfie that got the bar soap. And after that, he knew the boundaries.
They never swore hardly. I didn't heard.
Now Mark, he
After that?
wasn't a swearer. He was like a big giant teddy bear with the strength of King Kong when he was younger. One of the things he did when he was little, he would challenge you to a bicycle race. And he'd give you a half a block of head start. Pick the bike you wanted, 10 speed. And you'd be like, okay, and you'd take off. You had a half a mile, and you look back, and now here's Mark's side. His legs are going like this. And he's got this grin on his face. And about halfway through that, going around the block, you turn around, and here's Mark passing you, and now he's looking back at you with that grin on his face going, your legs, and you're not catching up with him. He was a great guy. I've never in my entire life, even when we did security, I've never seen him hit anybody, lose his temper, get angry. He was amazing that way. We did security our first time doing security together at the Omni in Oakland. And this is when we first started Paradigm. And it was the first time we saw mosh pits. And we looked at each other and we're like, are we supposed to break this up? There's too many of them. And pretty soon it was like, well, we both took two sides of the stage and we're like, okay, we'll give them a signal and we'll let the guys go and stage dive. And pretty soon the guys were all looking at us and give a nod and they take turns running on the stage and dive, and we're the security. And then at the end of the night, guys would come and say, man, you guys are the best security. And some of the other guys in security, if they could catch the guys, they would catch them and they'd hit them. And we're like, we didn't want any of that. We just wanted everybody to have a good time. Yeah. And Mark, he was about that. He enjoyed having a good time, not hurting anybody. He might have bothered some people with his music, because man, he'd set up to do stuff anywhere, anytime. Pristine forest, all quiet. And here's all of a sudden it's amplifiers and drums and Rangers coming. You can't be doing that here. Oh, move to another park. We did a lot of that.
One of these guys threw a steak knife at each other and hit them in the back. Years ago, when we were kids. Wow. I don't know if it was Bob. That was Bob. Bob did that. He dared me. He says, "You can't hit me." Yeah, it was a fling. It was a rustler statement. It was a fling. It stuck him in there. They threw a dart at me when I was climbing the side of the wall and hit me in the back of the leg. So.
Marshmallow. The marshmallow.
So, other things with Mark. My little brother, one time, well, all the time. Him and Jimmy, they would fight. We all fight. But he would grab Jimmy from behind, have both of his hands, and he'd start punching him in his face. And Mark's like, I'm not touching you. He said, quit hitting me. And he's making Jimmy slap himself. And he'd hold him down, he'd slap him. And you're just trying to get away. He's too big, too powerful. But doing it lovingly, but just showing him that he can do it. And then at Sigma Chi days, it was great Mark was in Sigma Chi because we got to be in Sigma Chi. Now, one Sigma Chi party, that was one of our first jams we ever did, was Sigma Chi House. They invited us there. But one of their parties, Mark decided to grab 2 football players and pin them up against the side of the wall, and he has them in both hands, one in each hand. And they're like, we're gonna kick your ass. Let us go. Mark's just laughing, and he's got them pinned up against the wall. There's the stairway there, and he just won't let him go, and he's just laughing his head off. He was just strong. If he would have liked sports, he could have been a running back, or he was just a powerful guy. But he was like baby Huey, just. And it was one of those funny things. That, you know, there's lots of stories you could tell about Mark. In our Paradigm days, he never got in a fight. You know, a lot of times we could have. It was a lot of good times. Met a lot of good people. Met Dean, Devin, lots of people. Mark, he walked in a lot of worlds, a lot of crowds. You know, he could, you know, people from the streets to business people, he could be perfectly home with anybody. He was my best friend, my brother.
Your best man?
My best man at my wedding. Gave me his American Express card for my wedding. You know something? That's the one card you could leave home. Because when you go on the road, nobody took it. The only place that took it was little small Chinese place at the hotel. So we ended up eating on the beach. Drove to Northern California for our wedding. Had a really good time, but that was the one card that we could have left home.
You guys, he would have loved this, everybody being here, so this is awesome for Mark.
Yeah.
You know, he's probably partying right now with everybody and stuff, so I just want to thank everybody and my brother. There's only one guy that I love as much as my older brother, and that's Mark fucking Phinney! And Mark Phinney lives his life the way we all want to. You know, live our lives the way we really want to. And then Mark did it. Man, he actually pulled it off till he was 61.
Yeah!
And that fucking amazes me.
Yeah!
That amazes me and I've known a lot of people. Me and Devin, you know, and that guy's, and this is another great guy. And I heard about you. So, half the stories we can tell will probably get arrested, so I'm gonna stop here. But I just want to let you know that's it. He was our brother. What my friend, man. They were way past that. Anyway, thank you guys.
When you ever hear stories of kung fu fighting in a place called the Pit, Mark knew all about it. That's true. That's true.
Yeah!
That's all I gotta say.
I'm Stacy, I'm Mark's oldest cousin. And we have a little poem that we found in his house by memory.
Get close to the mic.
Don't stand at my grave and weep. I am not there, I did not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the sunlight on the ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn's rain. When you awaken in the morning hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circle flight. I am the soft star that shines at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there, I did not die.
Thank you.
I'm Greg Gutierrez, I'm Mark's cousin.
Mic up.
Come on, Devin.
Hello.
There you go.
Hello everyone, thank you all for coming. I appreciate everyone coming. I know that he would have people here for his funeral because he knew so many people. I found him, and It was tough. It was a tough day, but Mark lived his life the way he wanted to live. He did whatever he did, and you'd even say, "Mark, what are you doing?" And he'd go, "What are you talking about?" You know, he lived his life, and he went to Thailand, and I was supposed to take him back to Thailand on the 17th, and he died he died January, Fifth, sorry. Anyways, so I was going to take him back to Thailand, and Thailand was his home. After he's been there for a couple of years, he loved Thailand. And I was there in Thailand 2 years ago, and my friend Brandon said that Tommy, my friend, could go with us. And he goes, once you get there, it's going to be amazing. And it was so amazing. Thailand was amazing. I met a lot of people in Thailand, and Casey and Mailu helped me out. Because I told my friend Tommy, I said, I want to play the sticks when I get in Thailand. And Tommy's like, what are you talking about? I go, I don't know, somehow I'm going to play the sticks. And I saw Casey and Mailu up there playing. I go, this is my chance. And Mark was looking at me and using the pool a couple times. He's looking at me going, not bad. But, I mean, the beaches, we're at the Sea Gardens, the beaches, everything was just amazing. And he wanted to go back so bad, but he knew that he was kind of feeling a little not ready to go back, because he called me up and he said, come see me, because he knew that he was on his way out. And he came down to Paso Robles to San Luis, and we had Christmas and we had New Year's, and we had a really good time. And I thank everyone for just coming here and being with us on this day. I said, put your glasses up for Mark Phinney. I love Mark Phinney to death. And if you ever want to talk to him, just talk to him. He'll tell you something. Whatever you want to know, he'll tell you.
So the next people up here, I'm not going to change it because I'm leaving the Sigma Chi guys. Come on up, Sigma Chi.
Life is short. Live every day like it is your last. Treat everyone the way you want to be treated. These words describe how Mark lived his life. Mark Phinney, aka Tahoe Man, aka Tortuga, aka Koh Phangan Man, was a great friend to all of us. Mark lit up every event with his arrival and until his departure. He was incredibly intelligent, had a loving heart, and a unique sense of humor that endeared him to almost everyone he encountered. Mark was the least materialistic person that I've ever met. He didn't care about money or status or perceptions. He didn't care what anyone looked like, what they did, what possessions they had. Mark just wanted everyone to have a great time, and he did everything he could to make sure that was going to happen. Mark loved nature and exploring. He enjoyed spiders, snakes, bugs, fish, animals of every kind. He saw the beauty in all creatures. And places like the ocean, the mountains, and the desert. He loved all those. He also loved to travel and immerse himself in new experiences. When Mark discovered Thailand, he fell in love with Koh Phangan, the natural beauty, the Thai people, and the culture. Mostly, though, he felt that he'd found his tribe in Thailand. He became a vegan and began doing different forms of yoga. He was so passionate about Thailand, he told me it was nirvana and I needed to move there too. He wished we had found Thailand sooner. That's the inclusive kind of person that Mark always was. Sorry. Okay. Mark quickly moved to make the island his home and developed an incredible Burning Man regional event, bringing together artists, musicians, spiritual practitioners, and other creative friends, old and new, blending together all aspects of his life into an amazing crescendo. I first met Mark in September of 1978 in Berkeley. He was tall, thin, good-looking guy with a wry smile and a devilish laugh. I think Bob did a great job of describing. In college, Mark was an incredible physical specimen. After pushing wheelbarrows full of cement in the Mojave Desert over the summer, he was lean and strong. Sounds like the strength though preceded that work effort. However, he was also extremely kind and gentle. Mark never cared for sports, with the exception of ping pong and frisbee, but he was incredibly athletic. A few incidents come to mind, similar to what Bob talked about. Pledge active wrestling, where Mark would throw many large guys around the room for close to an hour, often 2 or 3 at a time. There was an incident at a groveler where, which was had a 20 party with live band, perfect, right up Mark's alley. There was about 300 folks milling around the fraternity house, and Mark challenged an inebriated and disgruntled karate black belt to a fight just to see if Mark could take him down. However, on the way downstairs to go outside to fight, they ended up becoming good friends and ended up hanging out together instead of fighting. Intramural football, Randy and I were just talking about this. Despite never really played organized sports, Mark agreed to come play with us in our intramural football team, and he was playing on the line for the team, and he was told to block his opponent toward the sideline. So play after play, Mark drove this poor guy completely off the field. However, even more incredible in his physical strength was his ability to party. Mark could drink substantial amounts of alcohol and somehow maintain control. He also enjoyed consuming various plant-based products and pharmaceuticals, often in concert with alcohol. These substances served as social stimulants to Mark, tools to enhance the enjoyment of hanging out with his friends. They also provided a vehicle for exploration to the outer limits of his mind. Mark loved music. He was a jazz and rock aficionado, but he enjoyed many different genres. He disdained most mainstream music. For instance, anyone who played Hotel California was immediately removed from the stage, had the guitar confiscated. Mark was a gifted musician, and he loved to play, seamlessly moving from instrument to instrument. Mark began playing in bands with his childhood friends, and played with hundreds of other musicians across 5 decades and multiple continents. Mark loved to learn and consume information. Reading was a passion for him. From classic literature to philosophy, he was especially inspired by Joseph Campbell, Henry Miller, and Alan Bloom. He also liked to write, and I loved reading his iconoclastic musings. He was also about the only person at the fraternity house who knew how to type. Hard to fathom nowadays, but it was the case back then. So when I was writing my thesis for my major at Cal, I had to feed Mark alcohol and weed for the better part of 3 days before the deadline. I have no idea what happened to that thesis, but I think the passing grade, you'll be happy to know. At the fraternity house, Mark had a Snoopy Christmas tree type marijuana plant growing in his room. And one afternoon, as Mark was apt to do, he was blaring rock music out of his room and with his window open. Apparently a neighbor called in a noise complaint. When the cop arrived, he came inside and told Mark to turn down the music, confiscated Mark's plant as Mark was pleading constantly with him to please leave him with his plant. At the fraternity house, we also had a 9-hole miniature golf tournament called the Tequilawana Open. It involved quickly downing a fifth of tequila by supposedly playing putt-putt golf. After becoming significantly inebriated, Mark and a couple of other guys broke a wooden gate off a nearby parking lot entrance and used it as a toll gate to stop passing cars on College Avenue. Each passerby, be it student, professor, or housewife, had the option of taking a hit off a joint or a swig off a bottle of tequila. There are many, many, many more stories like this about Mark, and we encourage everyone to share your favorites throughout the afternoon. During and after college, I had the pleasure to know Mark's parents, Ken and Emmy, two of the nicest people you could ever meet. They were educators who instilled a love for learning in Mark. Ken and Emmy always wanted to know everything about your life, and even if you didn't see them for 6 months, somehow they would remember the details of your last conversation, probably better than you did yourself. They were great examples of caring relationship builders, traits that we all associate with Mark. I was fortunate enough to meet Mark's Uncle Dick a few times as well. It was immediately clear where Mark inherited his partying side. Uncle Dick was doing his part to help out our pledge class at a Cal football game by purchasing numerous cocktails at our bar in the basement. And on one trip back to the bar, Uncle Dick missed a step and came crashing down the last 10 stairs. However, somehow he was able to hit the wall at the bottom of the stairs, stay upright, and not spill his cocktail. Mark had that same amazing ability to function under the influence. After graduation from Cal, Ken and Emmy invited me to join the family on a 2-week trip to Hawaii. Mark and I took the car to explore beaches and hiking destinations during the day and to discos every night, and then we drank Mickey's Big Mouse in the jacuzzi every morning until about noon. I felt bad that we were stranding Ken and Emmy, but they seemed to be enjoying their vacation, and I think, frankly, they're just happy that Mark wasn't getting in any trouble. After Hawaii, we returned home and moved to the East Bay. Mark took a job in Moore Business Forms. As most of you know, Mark was a nonconformist and had no interest in working an 8-to-5 job. However, in his brief 5-month career at Moore, Mark won Employee of the Month twice. See anybody max that 40% ratio, that's pretty damn good. Later, Mark worked as a bellhop at Hyatt, as a doorman at a nightclub, as a checker at a Christmas tree farm, played in some bands, right? Multiple different things. But eventually, Mark's entrepreneurial spirit and love for music led him to open Paradigm Studios in Oakland, where multiple bands rehearsed, played shows, stored their equipment, and occasionally paid their bills. Paradigm was the location of my bachelor party. That's a story for another time. I will say that Mark looked very snazzy as a groomsman in his black and white tux. This is also about the time where Mark started successfully promoting the underground raves that he branded Stompy. After Paradigm, Mark moved to Maui, where he met up with new friends and began throwing island raves. He also worked as a bouncer at a nightclub, as a security guard at a hotel until he was discovered rolling joints in one of the guest rooms, and as a DJ. Mark loved the creativity of mixing music, and spinning discs became an important part of his life. Mark understood that music's invisible threads bind people together and open the door of imagination. I was fortunate to spend time with Mark before he passed. Shortly after his return from Thailand in October, he came to my house and we celebrated his birthday at a nice restaurant, catching up on recent events and revisiting old memories. A few weeks later, we attended Kevin Kilty's 60th birthday party in Oakland, and I stayed with Mark in Alameda. And a couple of weeks after that, spent the Saturday with Mark and Greg, walking the bay and going to the yacht club in Alameda. I am so glad that I had those final days with Mark, and I know all of those who attended Kevin's birthday celebration also were glad to have a final chance to hang out with Mark. Mark, you are loved and missed by so many you've left behind. I look forward to seeing you again on the other side, brother. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Walt Gill, also a fraternity brother of Mark's. I guess I just want to say, we all spent a lot of time with him in the Sierras and other events. And like they say about the 60s, if you remember time with Mark, you weren't really there. But we're fortunate to have had him as part of our lives. Thank you. think it's fitting, Gil, that you said if you remember time with Mark, you weren't really there. He was a roommate of mine in Maui for several years, mine and Trent's. Minor, I don't know if he made it tonight or not. He was coming. Trent, what's up, buddy? We actually tell stories better when we're together because none of us can actually remember all the details because we were hammered a lot of the time. But I was in Maui playing music at a nightclub, and this big burly guy comes up with long hair to the DJ booth door, and I'm in the middle of a mix. And hey man, hold on, I'll be there in just a second. Hey man, just a second. I finished doing the mix, and I go over. He says, hey, the bouncers said that I had to come talk to you to find underground music on Maui. I said, yeah, this is it right here. It's not anywhere else but here. I had a good collection. I'd come over as a rave kid from San Francisco when I decided to move over to Maui. And Mark said, well, I'd love to hear some. So I played a little bit underground music for him, and he got excited. He comes up, he says, I like what you're playing, we should hang out. I said, okay, well, that sounds fun. He goes, so you're from the Bay Area? I said, yeah. He says, you ever hear the Whoopie Ball? And I said, Jesus, man, that's my favorite party flyer ever. He goes, flyer? I never made the party, but I walked into 1015 Folsom one night, high as a kite, and I looked on a little thing here, and there's this cat in a hat with checkerboards on it, and I was just like, wow, amazing flyer. I still had it. So I said, yeah, we got to exchange numbers. So we exchanged numbers. He ends up coming back a couple of months later after we chatted on the phone a little bit, and I'm playing music. He comes down, has fun at the club. We go back and we're hanging out. I'm pretty sure we smoked a joint, just BSing. And he says, hey, you want to throw a rave party? I said, I don't know the first thing about throwing rave parties, and I'm just a DJ. He said, I didn't ask you if you knew how to throw a rave party. I said, do you want to throw one? All right, let's do it. So he says, well, let's hop in the car. We drove down to Safeway, because that's where you throw rave parties. And I said, what the hell are we doing at Safeway? He goes, whatever grabs your interest, we're going to photocopy it. I said, all right. So we go to the cards, right? Everything's in the cards, the funny stuff, everything that kind of grabs people's attention's in the cards. So we end up, half a dozen cards later, photocopying stuff. We're walking up and down the aisles. Long story short, it was a Judy Jetson flyer, and we had photocopied Bounce, fabric softener, Kool-Aid, and amongst this stack of 50 photocopies, we came up with this party called Bounce Kid. And I had written rave in a magic marker and cut it up into pieces. Judy had a little computer screen in front of her, so it said rave, and I made these spirals for her eyes. And 10 days later, after dropping these flyers off at little local head shops, crystal stores, and David's of Hawaii was an alternative lifestyle shop. There was a couple of music stores that sold not underground music, but definitely alternative punk rock, stuff like that. So we dropped off stacks of flyers, and we said, would you guys mind collecting some money, $10 a head for these tickets, left them a stack of tickets. They said, sure, no problem. They were super cool. 10 days later, on the field at Nakalele Point, overlooking the ocean, 350 kids show up. I was like, my God, this is amazing, that's awesome. So I guess what I really love about Mark is his ability to bring people together. Clearly, you guys are all here because of Mark. I have some friends who met Mark 7 years ago at the 20-year reunion of that same party who just happened to be friends of mine. They don't know Mark, but they show up and they said, let's go check this thing out. They meet Mark, next thing you know, here they are today because Mark influenced them. They came to Thailand because Mark influenced them. And I love the way that he was just so real, so honest. Everything was just, God, I miss the guy. Just that ability to talk and share and make friends instantly. The black belt guy, they went downstairs to fight, ended up friends. That's friggin' Mark. I think Thailand was a big thing for him. I went out for his 60th along with my wife and kids. They're his kids, if you ask him. I'm sure a lot of people have heard stories. I brought them today, McKenna and Alex and my wife Jo. He loved Thailand because it was kind of like Maui, and He said it was like Maui from the 80s or something. So it's like thrown back to even before I knew it. And it was clear when I got there that the experience he was having was similar to the experience we had. It was just riding free, doing whatever we wanted. I mean, for God's sakes, he really didn't work. Other than throwing the parties, we never made money. We always lost money. So oh yeah, that's right. I remember how we paid the rent, Trent. We had the weekly poker game. Mark was a good poker player. And he wanted to have the weekly game, and of course we ended up with 2 tables at one point. And by the end of the night, he had everybody's money, and that was how he paid his rent every month. He didn't need a job. But anyways, back to the kids. I think what I'm going to miss most is that they won't get the experiences that we've all had, other than through what we can share. And it feels, God, it's difficult to reach up and deliver what he gave to us so freely. And I want to give that to my kids. And they had some experience of that. Mark would come over anytime he was here. He'd come over, he'd play guitar for them. They wanted to play, Mom's tired, I just got off work. Mark's like, hell yeah. What are we doing, hide and seek? Taking down the hallway? What are we doing? He was all about it, all the time. And to the Thailand story, he said, hey, I told my girlfriends here that my kids are coming. I go, well, we're coming too. He goes, will you just play along for a day or two? Just pretend, and okay, well, we'll have fun. But it was amazing to see him there, as always. My final time seeing him was my 50th birthday up in Auburn. I did an underground party up there, and he was kind enough to show up, of course, and knew he would. He brought Greg. You are the man, Greg, wherever you're sitting. Dude, Greg is a Sherpa from heaven. He carried tons of equipment up to the second floor over stairs to throw this party. And he and Mark came and hung out, and Greg beat the hell out of a pair of sticks like you wouldn't believe. And Mark shared his Visine bottle with anybody that had red eyes that night. And it was an amazing evening, really a special, magical night. My friends, Mark's friends that came with me here, they know, they were there. And it was tough to hear shortly thereafter that we wouldn't be seeing him again. And I thought, how am I going to tell the kids? What do we do? And I went to work stupidly. I ended up going home. After 7 hours there, I told my boss, I said, I got to go home. One of my best friends just passed. On the way home, I said, Mark, can you help me? I was having a rough time. And I was reminded of the first time that we brought the kids to his house in Alameda. He had balloons, just a mountain of balloons. He's playing the Beatles. He was so excited to have them see where he lived. And it just popped into my head. I think Mark said, just throw me a party. And I said, well, shit, I'll throw you a birthday party. So I went to the store and I got a cake, and I got home and I told the kids, we're having a birthday party today. We're having Mark's angel birthday party. And we did. We had a party. We sung happy birthday. We all made a wish for him and blew the candles out. And I just miss him greatly. That's all I got for you. Love you guys for being here. Thanks for letting me share.
Hi, I'm Doug Schroeder. I wrote some words about Mark, and I'm just gonna read that. I met Mark in the summer of 2004 when we both joined the same Burning Man camp. Responding to a post on Craigslist for any first-timers wanting to experience the festival, it was actually my second year, but my first wasn't that great because I didn't mesh with the very large camp I went with and didn't do much to help support it either. We spent several months prepping, which mainly involved cleaning, buffing, occasional welding, and painting a bunch of shipping crates that the leader of our camp used to cart up supplies to the festival, and also used for his own trucking business. The camp was a great introduction to Burning Man, and Mark and I bonded over our love of house music, jazz, and our shared experience working for and being taken advantage of by our dictatorial camp leader. From the moment we met, somehow we knew that we were simpatico. Mark was older and wiser, but he took a liking to this kid that was me. Like many of Mark's friends, I was taken by Mark's positive energy, his openness and ease, his playful spirit, his desire to experience the world as it could be, not just as we were told it should be. After returning, transformed by the Burning Man experience, Mark immediately had a million ideas for things he wanted to do next year. We got together a few times to talk about ideas. Since we both loved playing house music, we started throwing a few small gatherings with friends in Alameda and San Francisco. Mark would bring his gear and his records and CDs. I would bring my records, and I would cart his supplies and help him set up his gear. He would invite people to come to jam or DJ, and we would have a day of jams and house music, mixed with stories from his days in Maui and crazy times growing up in the Bay Area. Mark was always mentoring people who were passionate about music. I saw him take a number of people under his wing over the years and mentor them, help them grow. Mark and I bonded further over literature and philosophy, and Mark, being the polymath he was, has given me some great reading suggestions throughout the years. I've always been into science fiction, and when Mark first learned that, he suggested I read Robert Heinlein's Stranger in a Strange Land. He kept recommending it over the years, and when I finally read it, I couldn't believe I'd waited so long. Like so many other books that Mark recommended, it was the kind of story that challenges perception and forces the reader to think outside of societal constructs, which was how Mark lived his life and was central to his worldview. Over the next 4 years, Mark and I became much closer friends, returning to Burning Man together every summer and getting together more and more often during the year. I started meeting more of his friends, and he started meeting more of mine, and we started spending more time with a core group we both met through Burning Man. Our shared experience with Burning Man hit a pinnacle in the summer of 2008, one of many to come for Mark's burner journey, when we applied and got accepted as a Burning Man theme camp called Oakland, which got placed very close to Center Camp. We went with a great group of very creative friends, and with them together, we built a kick-ass A-frame camp shade structure, as well as a geodesic dome, a sunset bar to serve drinks to weary travelers on the playa, a DJ setup for entertaining ourselves as well as passersby throughout the day and well into the night, a two-seater scrubbing bubbles art car to travel the playa in, an interactive game of playa pong with radar sensors letting players control the projected pong paddles by jumping back and forth, and an art project our friend David designed and we helped build and raise while on the playa. Mark provided an epic soundtrack when we were actually raising this art project. It was the theme to 2001, and the whole thing crescendoed right as we got the thing up, and it was just incredible. And there's a video on YouTube. If anyone wants to see it, just come talk to me. It's really cool. When I met Nikki in 2011, Mark was one of the first people to meet her, and they became fast friends. All three of us were only children, and I think we shared a similar temperament and dual love for company and solitude. Mark and Nikki also loved to cook, and well, I love to eat. We started throwing dinners at each other's houses about every other week. Mark and Nikki would trade off cooking, and we traded off selecting a movie to screen on our projectors after dinner. This became a cherished tradition that we kept up to the present day. We went on many adventures together with Mark, camping trips, road trips, concerts and festivals, and epic New Year's seeing the Flaming Lips together, regional Burning Man festivals, camping trips to Calaveras Big Trees, home of Mark's epic flash-in-the-pan breakfast mess that we could never quite recreate. Trips to Sea Ranch, Dean's birthday in Cambria, the summer trip to Zion, where we got to meet some of Mark's family and friends we'd never met before, were some of the highlights. Mark had this strange power. He brought people together. He was such a positive force, a light that burned so bright, you couldn't help but want to follow him on his journey when you could. While we were at Burning Man together, Mark used to always say there was not enough live music on the playa. There was so much electronic music, but hardly any live music. So in 2009, the year after our Homeland camp, Mark built a stage right on the Esplanade, the main thoroughfare on the playa, and set up amps and mics so people could plug in and jam with each other. The first jam camp was born. He continued jam camp off the playa, bringing it to different regional burns in California and Nevada. He met and touched so many people through the experience of jam camp, and it all culminated in the Koh Phangan Man festival he threw in Thailand the last several years. Mark took the message of Burning Man to heart, and he gave back to the community in a truly powerful way. Mark was an amazing person and a great friend. I was so fortunate to meet him. He was a teacher, a confidant, a critic, a staunch supporter. He saw things in me I didn't. He was a true friend. I will never again meet anyone like Mark. He is truly one in a million and touched our hearts so deeply. We will always cherish his friendship, his mentorship, his kindness, and his humor. Mark, wherever you are, know that you are loved and that you are missed.
Upon arrival in the past, the house was electrified. Mark would greet us at the door, which was buzzing from eclectic, loud, yet carefully curated music he had chosen to set the tone for the night. The door would swing open, wafts of weed smoke and bass vibrations would hit you in the face, and Mark would outstretch his arms and go, "Hey, you're here! All right!" We hugged, confirmed that we had made some amazing eats to share with each other, opened up a good bottle of wine, and Mark's signature line always sang from the rooftops, whether you were talking about homemade meals or having an existential experience at a live concert. "Oh man, this is gonna be killer! Awesome!" His smile beaming from ear to ear. Mark's enthusiasm and encouragement washed over you. 4 weeks after Mark's death, the tears continued to come down again, like rain as I pulled up to Mark's house. It was oddly quiet. It was daytime. The curtains were uncharacteristically open. Mark wasn't there. His light, his smile wasn't lost, but now I can only find it in fond memories. Mark's gift for music, art, philosophy as a medium for meaningful social connections, healing, and happiness wasn't lost. It isn't lost. It's now bequeathed to his fellow milliphiles, lovers of music on a spiritual level, writers, thinkers, artists, creatives that he nurtured and molded himself. Years ago, Mark asked if Doug and I would take his records and books when the time comes. This was an honor in my eyes to be a steward to something that he cherished so much, a lifelong collection of his life as a teen, a DJ, his life in studios, Hawaii, Burning Man, Jam Camp, his latest endeavor in Thailand. It's a reference library now, and it keeps him alive. I feel like I look at it and there's Mark Phinney. I touch it, I smell it, the old smell of the books. To be able to listen, read a part of him through song and the written word. Mark's thirst for knowledge and alternative ideas and analysis and ideology led to him going to out of the ordinary texts and authors. I want to read this dedication that I found when I was going through some of his books to his dad. The book is a little crazy town. The Aquarian Conspiracy, personal and social transformation in the 80s. The inscription says, "To Dad, having your love, concern, and understanding is something a simple thank you could never honor. Happy 70th birthday. I do thank you for wanting to understand, and in spite of some of this book's ethereal or ruinous notions, the core experience does happen to people. Love, Mark." The last CD that we found that he had played in the CD mixer was titled "Carpe Diem, en regardant passer le temps," which translates to "Seize the day, watching the time go by." Found that was very fitting. 7 weeks since Mark's passing. The tears are waning. The void of his absence in physical form is closing as his memorial looms close. It's here. We're here. Mark is here. Mark's worlds collide. Friends and family are keeping the home fires burning. His dreams are actualized. His thirst for knowledge is quenched. Mark is orchestrating the ultimate jam camp wherever he is, still nurturing talent, pursuing clarity and expression, good beats and friendships. I do wish I had one more hug, one more kiss, one more Mark's epic DJ sessions, one more jam camp, one more heart-to-heart conversation, one more walk down the shore, one more debate, laugh, or even something as simple as an acoustic guitar sing-along by the campfire. And it reminded me of a song that we liked to sing when we were camping. And I know you've probably heard it, "I've Just Seen a Face" by the Beatles. I've just seen a face I can't forget, the time or place where we just met. He's just a friend for me, and I want all the world to see we've met. La da 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 da, falling, yes I am falling, and he keeps calling me back again.
Is that good? Okay, so I have one more thing I'm going to share, and this is an important one, and then Dean's going to speak. This is by Mark Phinney. He wrote this directly after his first Koh Phangan Man, and it's very apropos. Death suits me. Heaven suits me. Had no idea it'd be like this. I must have done something right in the eyes of the ether. Let me tell you, it really is like your dream life. Cubed though, at least. There's shit here my subconscious didn't even know about. Can your subconscious have a subconscious? Beats me. All I know is except for an occasional mosquito, I have died and gone to heaven. The mosquitoes are here, I'm certain, as a general reminder. What else would the human known as me do in heaven? Sit around with wings, shooting the shit and praising the Lord, etc.? Hardly. Putting on the best multi-sensory festival in the history of Earth with an all-female crew. What the fuck else? 8 days of barely scheduled artistic intoxicant freedom. Did I mention no traffic lights or speed limits? You know, I had my doubts for a while, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. But after all was said and done, and the absolutely worst thing that happened to us 4,000 festers was about a half-liter of spilled unleaded gas in the rental car, I was at last convinced I had passed on. Up here is so much fun, I don't even care how the heck I demised. Something embarrassing, no doubt. Did I mention they play house music here? Of course they do. And everyone speaks in tongues. It's cool. You don't have to listen. That can be nice. Anywho, as a senior citizen with numerous health issues up here, I worked 16-hour days for months, then bumped to 18 to 20 for the finale. I feel that I also outdanced most of the others. but that may have been last week, I don't recall. I drank and smoked and took acid and Xanax. They got everything up here except Oxy, damn it. And I slept 6 hours a night after the best massages that the afterworld has to offer. Imagine that. Thousands of years of religion and strife and uncertainty and delusion. Nirvana turns out to be a day spa. I sort of figured that from all the ads, you know.
Hey y'all, so I'm Dean. Somebody just said Mark was happy. Mark was happy. He's happy, right? So very last minute of his life. And it's kind of amazing actually to listen to everybody get up here and say what I'm about to say. It's already been done. In some ways, that's what I'm about to talk about. But my name's Dean, like I said, and I didn't know where to start here because I didn't know where I would finish. There's just so much I want to say. I could talk a long time. I could write a book about Mark, and maybe I will. But I was gifted with Mark's friendship for over 20 years. He was my brother. We road tripped and camped together in our vans. We went to New York, Montana, Texas, Idaho, the Great Lakes, Tijuana, Cabo San Lucas. We went to Burning Man 6 times together. But what did I talk about? There's just so many aspects of Mark, and lots of people talked about him. We talk about travel, camping, playing music, listening to music, books, movies, food, concerts, cooking, art, painting, partying, philosophy, psychology. I suppose we could eliminate fashion from the conversation. But, Mark closed off pretty well. He was actually a good-looking guy, and a few people mentioned that. Joe said one time when he showed up, suspiciously groomed, "Dude, he looks like your parole officer." And I heard about Mark before I first met him, and I heard him before I first saw him. I heard about him from Joe, who's here with us. And Joe said, "Man, you're going to love this guy." He told me stories about partying and Paradigm and playing music and Sigma Chi. And he warned me about Mark. And a warning from Joe is something that gets my attention. Joe said, "Whatever you do, man, don't play cards with him. And never try to pace him drinking." People alluded to this. That was good advice. So the day I met Mark, I heard him first. Joe and I had a music studio in West Oakland. It was an old rubber house, a warehouse, and inside the landlord had sort of partitioned off these studio spaces. I got out of my van and I could hear him. It was, when I went through the front door into the warehouse, the place was roaring, I mean roaring. Through the doors and into the studio, and there was Mark. He was rocking out loud as hell on guitar, his white Stratocaster, of course, his hair waving back and forth, Joe behind the drums wailing loud and heavy. I put on my guitar, and he walked over to show me the chords while still jamming, and that's how it all started. And I sometimes think of people as waves, and in the sense that what we do, what we create, what we produce, and what we radiate out into the world, it affects people, it crashes into people. And some people are bigger waves, some people are smaller waves, and some people are consumers. They just kind of consume what other people create. Mark was a big wave. Mark grew with a lot of people. People have talked about that here today. More different kinds of people than anyone I know. You can see this in the people who are here today. He had a way of allowing people to be themselves. He lived his life his own way, 100%, no apologies. And he granted that to everyone he loved. You could just be you. Burning Man was a place where people were supposed to act the way that Mark lived every day of his life. He was impeccably honest and incredibly talented. He was the best DJ and the best writer that I've ever known. You could drop your defenses around Mark and know that you were safe. And being around him made me a better person. Mark loved sweets. I don't know if everybody knows that. and he made the best bananas Foster I ever had. And one time we were camping, we were remote in the Sierras, no roads, we just wheeled it out there on a fire road. And day 4, I'm sitting and watching the sun go down. Mark's hand comes over my shoulder with a plate, and on that plate is cheesecake with raspberry sauce. Day 4 in the dirt. That's a dude that loves sweets. I got to redline a few of these things, guys. The people all alluded to that. People might go to jail, and there's kids here, and so I'm gonna plop through a little bit of it. But you know, I remember going over to Mark's house when he was living in the pool house in Boot Lee's backyard, and I heard that Andrew's here somewhere. I'm looking forward to seeing you, man. And so Mark's living in the pool house. And I get there, and Mark opens the door, and the tunes are blaring, and he points me to an X in silver duct tape stuck to the carpet, which marked the sweet spot between 2 PV speakers, which each had dual 15-inch woofers, 2 in each speaker, and horns, and they were over 5 feet tall each, and the speakers were connected to 2,000-watt amps, and this room was 10 feet by 10 feet. So when the cops came, Mark rips the door open. He's just rocking. He's got no shirt on. He's sweating. His hair's hanging down, and he starts barking over the music at this cop. What is the legal decibel level? How far away from the house do you have to be to legally measure the decibel level? Do you have a decibel meter? Who called you? Was it the dick that lives over there? What's the decibel reading on the other side of that fence? Do you even have a decibel reading? What are you doing? After about 3 minutes of this, the cop left, confused and insecure about his career choice. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about Jam Camp, which is behind us. Joe and I, a long time ago, we started doing these renegade gigs out of my van. We had an inverter in the van. We would set up on sidewalks and parking lots and go to A's games and do tailgates and stuff like that, and just blast music into the world because we're making waves. And Mark and our friend Jonathan, who's here today and set up Jam Camp with us today, they started coming with us, and Mark, Mark went to 11. So he bought a generator, 2,000-watt generator, and so we could plug in more amps. And that was really the beginning of Jam Camp. We would just do it bigger. And so one day we go, you remember those Got Milk t-shirts that were happening for a while? It's funny, very apropos that last one ended with, of course, I should have known from the ads. So Mark, we went up to Tilden Park to do a jam one day, and Mark had a shirt that said, "Got bail." And he threw that over the street sign at the campsite over there. And we started wailing, and we were making noise. And after about an hour, these kids started filing out of the woods like ants, and they're maybe between the ages of 5 or 6, maybe 8, and 10 or 11 or 12, and there's maybe a dozen of these kids. They walk up to us, and they're all shy, and we're just wailing, and we finish the tune that we were doing, and they go, "Wow, who are you guys?" And we tell them we're just friends that play music together, and they're like, "Wow, can we have your autographs?" So we all stopped and signed these kids' shirts and everything they had. It was pretty fun. And, Jam Camp evolved. And I'm just going to let this one go because somebody already let the cat out of the bag. But we were at one of these parties, these original Burning Man things. And after a particularly satisfying jam, it's the first time I ever saw this. Mark looks around, puts down his Strat, goes into the van, comes out with a box of sugar cubes, grabs a mic and goes, "Who wants acid?" And people lined up like he was some crazy gonzo priest from Hunter Thompson album. He's just feeding people acid in a line. It was fantastic. So know, a lot of people talk about missing Mark and where is he, and things like that. And we're all dealing with that in our own way. But, we're all going to meet someone from time to time who's been affected by Mark. And it may be affected by him directly, or maybe just someone who knew someone who used to go out with someone who knew someone at a party or a gig, or maybe jam camp, or maybe shared a joint of Mark's mind-shattering weed. And that person will be a little quicker to smile or offer a helping hand to you, or maybe let you cut in front of him in line. Somewhere out there, it's happening right now. And it's happening all over the world because Mark touched people from all over the world. It's happening right here in this room right now. And in that way, Mark will never really leave us. And I hope everybody takes that away from here tonight. You're going to see him forever. Everywhere. Mark was a big wave. My friend Jonathan and I have decided to keep Jam Camp going, and we're going to start with 2 festivals this coming year and see how things go. We've set up Jam Camp here today, and we'll always set up Jam Camp in honor of our friend and brother Mark. We invite all of you to grab an instrument, a guitar, a bass. We have a theremin, which is very fun and easy to play, or sit down and grab and play some drums. The operative word is play. You don't work a guitar, you don't work a drum, and you don't work a trombone, you play it. And Jam Camp is about playing. It's about joy, and it's about making noise. And Jam Camp is inclusive. And that's what the primary tenet of Burning Man really was, and that's what Mark was. He was radically inclusive. And this room shows that. So when I was writing this, I was actually afraid. I was afraid of the ending, because I was afraid that it would be an end. But I know now there will be no end here, and there will be no end to Mark. Just as I heard him before I first saw him, we will all feel him long after we last saw him. He'll return to us in waves of beauty, of joy, of laughter, and of love. So please don't be shy. Jam Camp is for everyone. Join us and help us raise a joyful noise unto our friend, our cousin, our brother, Mark. Now, who wants acid?
AC/DC, Mark Phinney. We love him.
Mark Phinney bought tickets to AC/DC's first American concert. We went to the show. Mark drank too much, passed out. Angus had Malcolm on his shoulders, ran out, set him on our table right in front. Mark's face was down on the table, never looked up, saw a single note of the show. And Mark, he's on our table, Angus. Never lifted his head up. The best part of the evening was he puked down a friend's back.
passive mind, the casual mind, the helper. That was 6 years old.
The door.
So here we go. Did you sign in already?